There was silence in the room. It's that quiet that makes your heart skip a beat. When Ty revealed the shocking information that nobody had anticipated, confidential images, an unplanned baby shower that was never meant to happen, and Evelyn's world appeared to fall apart in front of the cameras and her fellow actors. Whispers became gasps, and social media became viral in a matter of seconds. Timelines are flooded with shocked and incredulous fans. How could something so intimate and well-kept suddenly become the focus of a public uproar? Was this a premeditated move on Ty's part, or was it just another nasty development in an ongoing feud? It was tense enough to sever. Some cast members couldn't help but add gasoline to the flames with accusations and inquiries, while others watched in startled silence. This may be the greatest betrayal ever, according to fans, one that might potentially ruin alliances, friendships, and any remaining shaky trust. And as Evelyn struggled to contain her tears, it became brutally obvious that this was more than just reality TV drama. This was heartbreakingly public, real, and personal. Everyone was left wondering if this secret had been revealed and what else might be lurking in the shadows. The set feature read began peacefully that morning, with the typical small conversation resonating throughout. With sunglasses on despite being indoors, Evelyn arrived a bit later than usual as the crew repositioned cameras and the actors took their positions, oblivious to the impending storm. She mumbled something inaudible while her phone was pushed firmly against her ear. Her expression was composed, perhaps a bit too composed, as if she were making a concerted effort to maintain her composure. Conversely, Ty entered the room with a confidence that always made the atmosphere uncomfortable. Her expression conveyed that she was clutching something perilous. Everyone felt it, but they weren't entirely sure what it was. When Ty quietly took out her phone during a lulling discussion, the day had just begun. She asked, "So does anyone want to talk about this little celebration I stumbled across?" With a steely smile and a deceptively light tone. She tapped her tablet, and in a matter of seconds, the energy in the room changed. A picture of a baby shower with delicate pastel hues and pink and cream decorations was clearly visible on her phone. In the center of the scene was Evelyn, looking radiant in a white dress, with one hand resting softly on her stomach, surrounded by individuals who appeared too joyful to be hiding anything. There was startled quiet for a minute. The only sound in the room was the hum of the cameras, and even the crew froze. The first to respond was Chantal, who leaned in and covered her mouth with her palm as her eyes widened. She murmured, "Oh my God," almost too softly for the microphones to pick up. Never one to hold back. Jackie whistled softly. "Girl, what is this? 'Cause I am aware that you did not inform us that you were throwing such an event." Evelyn's gaze darted around the room as her calmness briefly faltered, looking for assistance but not being able to find any. She tried to speak, but her voice wavered. "It's not what you believe it to be." With a sarcastic tone in her speech, Ty arched an eyebrow. "Really? Because that appears to me to be just what everyone has been speculating about for weeks. You have a lot of falsehoods and a hidden celebration." With everyone watching, the tension increased. Evelyn, as she attempted to clarify. However, the phrase simply wouldn't sound correct. Finally, she murmured, "It's complicated," as she nervously twisted her purse's strap. However, nobody was buying. It's slowly shaking her head. Brandy crossed her arms. "Complicated? You've been cursing nonstop, girl. Nothing is happening, and now this. In what way do you think we'll believe anything you say?" The accusations weighed heavily on the air. Evelyn's breathing accelerated, her well-constructed facade eroding with each second that went by. Her voice was gentle but frantic as she tried again. "This is not how it was intended to be. I wasn't prepared to discuss it just yet." Like a predator. Snarling, Ty leaned forward and fixed Evelyn with her gaze. "Oh, so we're just to sit here and continue acting like we're acting?" You have been deceiving the fans and all of us, and you believe that this is acceptable. Chantal mumbled something to Jackie in the background. Something about how for weeks she'd sensed something wasn't right. The turmoil that was already developing in the room was exacerbated by their whispered debate. Every response, every flinch, and every tear that threatened to escape Evelyn's eyes was captured on camera. It was uncooked. The producers loved this kind of moment, even though it was chaotic. With a loud scrape of her chair against the floor, Evelyn finally got to her feet. When she said, "You don't know what I've been dealing with," her voice broke. You have no idea how it feels to have every aspect of your life dissected, scrutinized, and contorted into something unsightly. There was just one thing I wanted to retain for myself. And now that has also been seized. Her words lingered in the atmosphere, an agonizing admission to which nobody seems prepared to reply. There was silence for a moment, the heavy, uneasy quality of silence. Even Ty appeared to flinch, her piercing looks opening just enough to show the slightest hint of uncertainty. However, the pause was brief and the room exploded once more. Everyone was speaking simultaneously, with voices overlapping accusations, flying in confusion and rage combining to create a chaotic reality TV concoction. The most outspoken person, Jackie, blamed Evelyn. "Okay, if you wanted privacy. However, don't just sit there and pretend that you haven't been deceiving us. Now is not the time to play the victim. Not when you have been holding such large secrets." With a gentler but equally pointed tone, Chantal added her voice. "Evelyn, we would have supported you. You only needed to inform us. However, Ty informs us in this way about everyone." The impact of those statements was greater than anyone anticipated, and Evelyn winced visibly. She sank back in her chair, her shoulders hunched. At last, silent tears trickled down her cheeks. Every moment of it was captured on camera. Her vulnerability was exposed to the world. She wasn't the polished, self-assured woman people were accustomed to seeing at that time. She was simply human, and the weight had broken her dot of treachery and secrets. Ty wasn't finished, though. As she spoke, she got to her feet and paced slowly. "You think I enjoyed calling you out? No, but someone had to, because you've been lying for too long. And if you think I wanted to do this," her words were incisive. But there was also a strange mixture of hurt and frustration, as if this wasn't just about the picture or the secret, but something deeper that none of them were prepared to face. Outside the studio, the world was already responding. "You think the fans weren't going to find out eventually? You're living in a fantasy." Fans were analyzing every detail, every attitude, and every decoration in the leaked photos. Speculation was rife, with theories emerging more quickly than anyone could keep up with. Was it Evelyn's baby shower? Is there another person involved? Why had she gone to such measures to keep it quiet? Back inside, the atmosphere was oppressive, with everyone having an opinion and none of them being kind. The weight of the revelations had settled in like a dense fog, leaving everyone at a loss for words. And Evelyn sat silently, her eyes fixed on the floor, while the others exchanged glances that spoke louder than words could ever. No matter what happened next, nothing would ever be the same as the cameras rolled and the actors sat motionless in their seats. The room seemed to have stopped breathing. Ty continued to hold her phone, the damning image blazing on the screen like an uncontrollable spotlight. And for a brief moment, the only sound was Evelyn's soft sobs. But even those sounded too loud, as if they were reverberating through the room. "A person, girl," she said, her tone sharp but uncannily calm. "And if there's more to this, now is the time to speak." The tension was excruciating, the kind that makes even the crew hesitate to move. Jackie broke the silence first, leaning forward with that piercing stare that never failed to cut through, because she was afraid that the slightest sound might set off another explosion. Her comments cut through the air. "Kay?" And Evelyn shuddered as if she had been struck. "Because it seems like you've been living a whole other life and expecting us to play dumb." She started to reply, but her mouth remained closed. Just a shaky, short breath that shook under the weight of it all. She shuffled in her chair before saying anything. Although she spoke in a quieter tone, her comments were just as sharp. Evelyn, we would have supported you. If you wanted us to keep your secret, we would have done so. But now that everyone is aware of it, you're sitting here pretending that we don't understand. She looked from Evelyn to Ty and back again. Her face was a mix of shock and incredulity. It's not only the secret, but also how you ignored us as if we weren't important. At last, Brandy, who had been unusually silent, she said in a calm but disappointed tone, "We've all made our share of mistakes, you know? Everybody has experienced times when they didn't want the public to know what was happening. However, you don't tell lies to those who love you. Not in this manner." The weight of her words caused Evelyn to look up at last. She didn't defend herself, but her teary, crimson eyes met Bry's. She knew in her heart that they were correct, so she couldn't. They were correct. Ty, aware that the wave of pity may be slightly turning, he pushed forward. "You've been acting like the victim the entire time," she added, raising her voice. "Pretending that everyone is against you, while, in fact, you are the one who is fabricating tales and concealing secrets. The hardest part is that you lacked the courage to be honest. For you, I had to do it." With the image still blazing on the screen, she threw her phone onto the table, silent charge that nobody could disregard. Evelyn was startled by the sound of the phone striking the table, and something within of her exploded. Everyone jumped when she suddenly sprang up, her chair toppling over with a loud clatter. She spit out, "You think you know everything, Ty," her voice cracking, "but you don't. You have no idea what I've been through or the reasons behind my decisions." Ty stared at Evelyn, her jaw clenched, her fists clenched at her sides. And then she said, "Then explain it," in a low but sharp voice. "You just see what you want to see and you twist it into something ugly so you can feel better about yourself." The room fell silent once more, but this time it was not the heavy, suffocating silence from before, but rather a charged, electric silence that comes just before lightning strikes, because of where Evelyn shook her head, her hands shaking as she wiped at her face. "I'm standing. It looks like you've been lying to everyone. And for what? To protect someone? To protect yourself? Which is it?" "It's not that simple," she said, in a low voice. This is not an easy task. However, nobody was interested in hearing that anymore. They perceived it as just another pretext, a means of evading the reality that suddenly confronted them all. The commotion outside the stage was intensifying. Like wildfire, the leaked baby shower pictures were being shared on all platforms and discussed in every comment section. Fans were furious, perplexed, and desperate for clarification. Others spoke up for Evelyn, arguing that she was entitled to privacy. Within hours, hashtags containing her name trended worldwide, and every gossip blog rushed to publish their own version of events after others accused her of manipulating and playing games with those who trusted her the most. Jackie returned. Inside, her arms folded securely across her chest as she slumped back in her chair. "You know what this looks like?" she asked in a sarcastic tone, as if you believed we would rush to the blogs or sell the story for a fast profit. "It looks like you didn't trust us. Evelyn, do you think that of us? That our sole purpose is to take advantage of you?" Nothing had struck so forcefully as those words. Evelyn's sobbing ceased for the first time. Her face was raw, almost begging as she gazed at Jackie. She shook her head and replied softly. Her voice broke. "That's not what this is. I just wanted something that was mine, just for a short time before the world got its hands on it and it turned into something ugly." Chantal's phone buzzed loudly on the table, breaking the tension, and when she looked at the screen, her eyes widened. "Guys," she said, holding up her phone, "this just went live." Jackie's eyes briefly flashed with understanding once more, but it vanished as quickly as it had appeared. The entire collection and every single image are now widely available. Everyone in the room gasped, like a weight bearing down on everyone. The situation's realism sunk in. There was no turning back. Evelyn had lost any authority she believed she had over her story. Leaning forward, Brandy said in a steady, low voice, "Evelyn, you have to take control of things before it gets out of hand, because the story isn't yours at the moment. Furthermore, it is nearly impossible to get the supporters to modify their thoughts after they have made up their minds." Although her remarks were reasonable and even compassionate, they were painful because they were accurate. Evelyn was aware of it. They were all aware of it. Ty wasn't finished, though. She took a stride toward Evelyn, her eyes fixed on her with a mixture of rage and what appeared to be pity. She added in a calmer, but no less passionate voice, "You had every opportunity to be honest. Before it came to this, you had every opportunity to be honest with us, and you decided to tell a lie. Don't act as though you are the only one responsible for this." Like a thick blanket, the weight of those words descended upon the room, suffocating and unavoidable. Evelyn lowered herself back. In her seat, deflated, she covered her face with her hands while the cameras panned in, catching every moment of her disintegration. They all knew the same thing, even though nobody spoke it out. Nothing would ever be the same since the damage has already been done. It felt hotter than ever under the studio lights. Everyone was shifting in their seats, but it wasn't because of the heat. There was enough tension to choke on. With her hands covering her face and her shoulders shaking from silent tears, Evelyn sat there. All eyes were on her, some confused, some angry, and a few, just a few, showing even the tiniest hint of sympathy. But nobody was brave enough to speak first. Even the producers who were behind the cameras were undecided on whether to stop the feed or allow the mayhem to continue. Then Evelyn finally said, "You don't know what it's like to carry something so big, so heavy, and know that the second it gets out, people will tear it apart." Her words faltered in the middle, but she forced herself to look up, her tear-streaked face visible to the cameras. Her voice was so quiet that it nearly didn't register. "All I needed was a moment of my own, a small bit of tranquility." Is that truly incorrect? The room softened for a moment. Brandy leaned forward, her face softening from one of condemnation. "Evelyn desires tranquility. It's not incorrect," she remarked quietly, "without deceiving those that care about you. That's where you made a mistake. We might have been able to help you. We could have kept you safe. You pushed us away instead. And now this surpasses us all." Jackie folded her arms and laughed sharply, breaking the fragile silence. "Please," she begged, her voice brimming with incredulity, shielding her. "You can't even defend your own business, much less hers." Half the time, Evelyn made a decision. Let's be honest here. The world now knows that she put secrecy over loyalty. Broke the last of Evelyn's restraints. Her voice was rough with fury as she screamed, "Do you think I don't know that?" The words hung there, heavy and sharp, and for a long moment, nobody moved. "You think I don't wake up every day terrified that one of you would leak something? That one of you would take the one thing I had left and sell it to the blogs? I've been betrayed before, Jackie. I've been humiliated before, and I wasn't going to let that happen again, not this time." Then, after being unusually silent, Chantel spoke out. Her steady voice was tinged with a melancholy that caused everyone to halt. She whispered, "But you did let it happen, Evelyn, back. Because now it's out, and it's uglier then. If you had simply trusted us, it would have been as ugly as ever. You didn't simply ignore us. We're all suffering as a result of you including us in the deception. It was a social media conflagration outside." By the second, fan accounts were sharing theories. Some say they are aware of the identity of the photo leaker. Others claim that the entire event was staged for publicity by the actors. Every platform was seeing live reaction videos that were breaking down every frame of the already viral altercation. Throughout it all, the hashtags continued to increasing, putting Evelyn in the middle of an uncontrollable tempest. Everyone was apprehensive as Ty paced the class like a predator, her shoes clicking on the floor. Her voice was sharp and icy. As she asked, "Do you want to talk about betrayal? Let's speak about what you did. Week after week, while we sat here supporting you, you looked us all in the eye. You played the victim while you were sitting on the truth. And now you want us to feel sorry for you. No, that's not how this works." Evelyn's lip quivered, but she kept her eyes fixed on you, and for the first time, a glimmer of defiance appeared in her tearful eyes. Jackie snorted, leaning back in her chair with a smug look. "I didn't ask for your sympathy," she said in a steady but low voice. "I just wanted to protect something that mattered to me. And maybe I went about it the wrong way, but that doesn't make me the villain you're trying to paint me as." There, watching every second of this, and they're forming their own opinions. And believe me, once they've made up their minds about who you are, there's no turning back. You lied. And if you think these people she pointed to the cameras are going to buy the poor me act, you're insane. Brandy shook her. "This isn't about the fans, Evelyn. It's about us and trust. And at this moment, there isn't any left not. With me, not with Chantal, and most definitely not with Ty. Therefore, if you want to begin repairing this, you need." The words seem to strike deep inside Evelyn because, for the first time that night, she appeared truly broken, as if the weight of everything she had been holding on to suddenly became too much. To begin with, the truth, all of it. No more half-truths. No more games. Okay. And now it's out there and it's ruined, and I can't take that back. Chantal blinked hard, her voice barely above a whisper. The pictures weren't supposed to be public. That day, that shower, was the only day I've had in months where I didn't feel like I was drowning, with feelings on the verge of exploding. She said softly, "Then why didn't you just tell us? It could have saved you, saved that day. But you made it so much worse. And now you're standing here by yourself. I'm alone here." Ty halted her pacing and narrowed her eyes as she observed Evelyn. "I'm alone," she stated icily, "and now she wants us to feel awful about it. However, guess what? Evelyn's actions have repercussions." As Evelyn sank deeper into her seat, her hands shaking in her lap, the cameras zoomed in again, capturing every moment of emotion on her face. And somewhere in the background, the producers exchanged knowing glances. They had struck gold, but even they couldn't predict where this storm would go next. "And this, please, this is yours." The room was thick and suffocating, deafening, interrupted only by the distant buzz of a phone vibrating somewhere on the table and the faint hum of the lights overhead. Evelyn sat motionless, her eyes focused on a spot on the floor. But her mind was miles away, replaying every choice that had brought her to this point. The secrets, betrayal, the fear, all of it swirling together, choking her until she could hardly breathe. Ty, still standing, looked down at her with a mixture of cold satisfaction and rage. Her arms crossed tightly over her chest as though she were limiting her speech. Finally, in a shaky but firm voice, Brandy said, "Evelyn, you know what hurts the most? We weren't just your friends," she continued, bending forward and holding onto the table's edge. "Your family was us. That was my initial thought anyway, and you didn't even give us an opportunity to show you that. You simply ignored us as if we were unimportant." Evelyn muttered, her voice shaking, that hit Evelyn hard. Her lip quivering as she tried to find the right words. "Brandy, it was about me attempting to cling to something positive for a brief while, not about you or any of you." But Ty wasn't buying it. She moved closer, her heels clicking menacingly against the tile floor, before the world tore it apart as it usually does. She responded sharply, "No, Evelyn," her voice piercing the room like a blade. "Playing the victim is not an option here. You repeatedly lied to our faces. You also wanted us to nod and grin as if we were ignorant. We were fooled by you. For what purpose? In order for you to feel secure. Lying won't get you safe, girl. It hasn't. Jackie's eyes gleamed like a shark, spotting blood in the water as she grinned from her seat. Tai is correct, she added, her voice brimming with a perverse kind of laughter. You created a small fantasy realm in which you could hide your secrets. But you know what, baby? Fantasy doesn't cover the expenses. The real world always catches up. It's hammering on your door loud enough for everyone to hear right now. Chantal, who had been silent once more, eventually opened her mouth. Her tone softened, but it remained hard. You should have trusted us, Evelyn, she continued, softly shaking her head. We're not flawless. We've all made errors, and God knows it. Yet we've always been there for one another. And now it seems as though you never thought that was possible, as if you didn't think we were real. The commotion outside just got louder. Posts analyzing every moment of the telecast were all over social media. Hashtags are growing more quickly than anyone can keep up. Fan theories became unmanageable. According to others, Tai planned the expose to gain influence. Others claimed Jackie leaked the pictures merely to stir things up. And throughout it all, pictures of the baby shower continued to circulate, provoking both indignation and discussions. The tension inside the studio continued to rise. At last, Evelyn raised her head, revealing a sharper, almost defiant mark on her tear-streaked face. But you don't, she replied, her voice shaking but getting stronger with each word. You all think you know everything. And lying to everyone who cared about you. Fix that. Tai laughed bitterly, her arms clenched around her. You don't know what it's like to wake up every day and feel like the entire world is waiting for. You too fail. You don't know what it's like to be afraid that the one positive thing in your life will be destroyed because of who you are or what people think of you. Maybe that makes me weak. Maybe it makes me selfish, but at least I can confess that. Can you? Evelyn's eyes flashed with something like rage. No, she answered forcefully. But that was the only way I knew how to defend it, to protect myself. Don't turn this on me, she snapped. You're the one who built this mess. Throughout the night, Tai faltered, her expression cracking just enough for the cameras to capture it. The room held its breath, sensing the shift, the tiny fracture in Tai's armor, but she recovered quickly, her face hardening again as she shook her head. It was you who continued to lie when you had every opportunity to tell the truth. Therefore, stop sitting there and acting as though we owe you anything right now. This is just too much, Brandy whispered, her voice full of passion, leaning back in her chair with her palms pressed against her temples as though the weight of it all were too much. We should be celebrating and supporting one another, but instead we're tearing each other apart. For what purpose? Ego, pride, and secrets. It's not worthwhile. This isn't worth it at all. Sensing the perfect storm of passion, the producers gave the word to continue filming, knowing that every moment would be shown on television, every tear. Every piercing the truth of it all dawned on Evelyn as she sat there looking down at her hands. There was no turning back, no undoing. The decisions that had led her here, the baby shower photos, were out. They knew this was the kind of drama that people couldn't ignore, the kind that would dominate headlines for weeks. And there you have. It's a storm that no one anticipated, but that everyone is talking about. From the shocking baby shower photos to the explosive confrontations, this entire saga has left fans divided, hearts broken, and the internet on fire. The only thing left to do was try to survive the fallout, one brutal moment at a time. Truth, or at least the version the world had chosen to believe, was out. What's even more crazy is that the online discussions aren't slowing down. While some people are standing firmly behind Tai, praising her for revealing what they call the biggest secret of the season, others are urging everyone to give Evelyn some grace, saying that nobody truly knows the pain she's been carrying. She regained the trust she's lost, or is this the beginning of the end for her friendships and her reputation? And honestly, this story is far from over. We want to hear your thoughts on whether Tai went too far by releasing those photos, whether she was right to finally expose the truth, and whether Evelyn will be able to move past this, or whether the damage is too great. If history is any indication, more receipts, more accusations, and even more drama are just around the corner. If you enjoyed this in-depth exploration of the chaos, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you don't miss the next twist in the story. We're reading everything you have to say, so please share your thoughts in the comments section. And believe us, this conversation is just getting started. This drama that is developing because the tea never stops spilling that. Much is certain in this world, and we will always be available to help you understand it all full time.